Hi everyone, and welcome to Truth Over News. The House Ways and Means Committee has just released a treasure trove of emails and other documents exposing Biden family corruption. But you almost wouldn't have known about it because the media has once again been covering things up. We all know that if it had been Trump, the airways would be absolutely saturated with non-stop coverage. The document dump contains more than 700 pages worth of evidence, some of which is extremely damning, including a letter signed by Hunter Biden pressuring Ukraine's chief prosecutor to end his investigations into Hunter's corrupt energy firm, Burisma. The Biden impeachment investigation started in earnest last week when House Republicans released a huge assortment of documentary evidence laying bare Biden family corruption. But things really kicked off a few days earlier when House Republicans revealed that a Chinese national called Jonathan Li had wired $250,000 to Hunter Biden. So before we turn our attention to the new document dump, let's first talk about that. The recipient address on that bank wire from Jonathan Li was listed as Joe Biden's main residence in Delaware. Of course, this completely contradicts Joe Biden's earlier claims, for instance, at the second presidential debate in 2020, that Hunter Biden never got any money from China.
My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China. I have not had it. The only guy who made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
So Hunter did make money from China. We knew this, of course, and the $250,000 that Hunter got from Jonathan Li pales in comparison to the money he embezzled from Hudson West, the company that had been set up by the corrupt Chinese energy firm CEFC to funnel money to Hunter and to Joe Biden's brother, Jim Biden. We already had bank records for that, which were closer to $5 million. Nevertheless, the new revelations are still crucial for two reasons. First, there's the fact that the money was sent to Joe Biden's home address. White House spokesman Ian Sams jumped in on Twitter to claim that that's totally normal because it was during the pandemic and Hunter had moved back in with his parents. It's just that there are two very big problems with that excuse. And that's not even considering the fact that a 50-plus-year-old man moving back in with his parents is somehow supposed to be totally normal. No, the first big problem is that the money was sent in July of 2019, which was 9 months before the pandemic. So White House spokesman Ian Sams just made stuff up. What's just as bad as his lies is that a White House spokesman would be involved with personal Biden family matters. Ian Sams is not a Biden family spokesman, but a taxpayer-funded government spokesman. Okay, but let's leave that aside. The second big problem is that according to news articles, as well as to Hunter Biden's own court filings in his child support battle with London Roberts, the mother of his daughter, well, according to those documents, Hunter Biden did not live at his dad's home in Delaware in 2019, but on the other side of the country in California. So why did he list his dad's address for the bank transfer? We don't know. And this brings us to the second reason why the $250,000 from Jonathan Li is so important, and that is because it came from Jonathan Li. We had previously come across Jonathan Li as the person with whom Hunter worked to organize a trip to America by none other than Xi Jinping himself. That was back in 2015, while Joe Biden was vice president. Unsurprisingly, despite helping to organize Xi's trip, there's no suggestion that Hunter ever registered as a foreign agent. Jonathan Li is also the person who loaned Hunter the funds for his stake in the Hudson West Company, which had been set up by CEFC China Energy. It's not known what, if anything, Hunter ever repaid. Now imagine, everything we just described was exactly the same, only that Hunter was Donald Trump Jr. So a Chinese Communist Party associated person loaned Don Jr. money under shady circumstances and also sent a bunch of money to Mar-a-Lago. We all know we'd never hear the end of it, yet that is exactly what the Bidens did. Which takes us to the document dump from the House Ways and Means Committee. That document trove makes the $250,000 from Jonathan Lee look like a traffic ticket. We've gone through the entire catalog of documents and have picked some of the worst ones to analyze here. First off, there's a letter from Hunter's corrupt energy firm Burisma. That really stood out as one of the centerpieces of the document dump, even if, predictably, the media has totally ignored it and its significance. The letter is dated July 9th, 2016. That is less than 2 months after Ukraine's new prosecutor general, Yuri Lutsenko, was sworn in. The letter, which is signed by Hunter Biden, chastises the new prosecutor general for continuing the investigation into Burisma, which his predecessor, Viktor Shokin, the guy whom Joe Biden fired, had started. The entire letter from start to finish is an exercise in browbeating and bullying. In one section, it asserts that it is imperative that allegations of criminal activity made to the media about Burisma and/or Nikolai Zlochevsky, the owner of Burisma, come to an end. In another section, Hunter and his co-signatories direct the prosecutor from refraining from further allegations and also assert that the prosecutor is impeding Burisma. The letter was highly coercive and its timing is highly suspicious. Recall that it wasn't until May of 2016 that Joe Biden finally got his wish of a new prosecutor general in Ukraine, at which time he also released a $1 billion loan guarantee which he had leveraged to get rid of the old prosecutor. For Hunter to come in with his demands so soon after his father fired the new prosecutor's predecessor can only be read to mean that Hunter was telling the new prosecutor that he needed to end the Burisma investigations or else he too would be fired. The Democrats' favorite new mouthpiece, House member Dan Goldman, had a different interpretation. He tweeted that Hunter's letter supposedly shows that the new prosecutor was just doing his job by investigating Burisma. But as usual, Goldman isn't being truthful. We know for a fact, as evidenced in media reports at the time, that the guy who got fired by Biden, Viktor Shokin, was very much investigating Burisma. He even seized all of the owner's properties. So the truth is that those investigations into Burisma were continuing and that the new prosecutor had not yet shut them down. Hunter's letter served as a reminder, a highly coercive reminder, that that is what needed to happen. And lo and behold, within a few months of Hunter's letter, the investigations were shut down. Hunter and his group even took a victory lap, as shown in another one of the newly released emails. The reason why this letter is so crucial is because it directly links the fact that Joe Biden changed policy on Ukraine with respect to firing a prosecutor, as we recently showed, to the shutting down of the investigations into Burisma.